Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'll be doing a review on this RDX T2 face saver. So stay tuned. Hey, what's up, guys? Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on the RDX T2 face saver headgear, which is arguably the worst face saver I've ever used, maybe the worst headgear I've ever used for a lot of reasons, which I'll get here into a bit. But first, let's go ahead and go over the specs of this headgear. This thing weighs in at 24 ounces, so it's definitely heavy. It's synthetic leather material that's made in China. This thing retails anywhere between $48 to $50, just depending on where you get it from. It comes in 4 different sizes, small, medium, large, and XL. I got mine in large just based on my head dimensions, and only one color that you see here, which is the all black. Now, starting from the front of the headgear, you have this rubberized RDX patch on the front. I think that looks pretty nice. I like the fact that it's not plastic. It doesn't have any sharp edges, so that's a big bonus. The synthetic material, you can see, has more of a matte sheen to it. It's not shiny at all. It's more of a matte black, which is nice. It has more of a subdued look. The model designation, HGR T2B on the right temple as well as on the left temple. I believe the actual frame for the actual face or the nose bar is made of plastic. It is not moldable like some face savers where you can expand or contract it to where you want to release any kind of pressure you may have on your cheekbones, your temples, on the back of your head. The foam padding on the bar is definitely more stiffer, you can see there. But on the forehead, the temple, the side of the head is definitely on the softer side. And you have a ridiculous amount of padding. I'd say 3 inches thick of padding, which I think is way too much overkill. And I'll kind of get into that here in a second as well. But you also have a 1/2 inch high density foam ear donut that goes around your ear on both sides right there on the left. Also a Velcro chin strap that goes underneath. You also have it stitched down here and reinforced, but you have a metal loop that this goes through, and then a synthetic leather flap that goes over that metal loop to cover that up. You also have a tapered V neck right here to give yourself full mobility to rotate your head up and down, left to right. One big benefit of this headgear, and probably the best feature, is the fact that you have a lace closure on the back and on the top. I've always been a big fan of lace closure. I just feel like they give the best fit. Once you lace it up to the dimension of your head, you don't have to change that anymore. You can just lace it up, slide it on your head typically, and then just put on the chin strap on. You don't have to go through the motions of having to readjust it because it's already form fitted to your head size. The inside, again, has a softer foam on the inside right there, and the liner is really nice. They use this tricot liner that actually has the RDX logo printed. Kind of a ghost print, you can't really see. It's kind of like the same color as the black material, but I do really like the material they use on here. It's really comfortable and doesn't slide around, so that's a big plus. Now, let's talk about what I don't like with this headgear. It's way too big. I mean, when I put this thing on, I thought I looked like Darth Vader. I look like one of those bobblehead dolls where they have a small body and just gigantic head. And what happens with that is your head becomes so much more of a target, a larger target, and it's counterintuitive to having good defense in boxing, which is not to get hit. The best defense is to move your head to avoid a punch. With this, I feel like it's counterintuitive, and it's almost like they built this thing more sturdier and thicker so that because they knew you were going to take a lot more punishment, which you shouldn't be doing. So the fact that you just have this amount of padding on here, headgear, which I've mentioned in other videos before, the whole premise behind headgear is to prevent cuts and bruising from head clashes, and so you don't get any cuts around your brow and underneath right here. Not so much for shock dispersion, because regardless if you get hit with 3 inches of padding or an inch of padding, that same force of that punch, if somebody throws a powerful right hand at you and it lands on your head, your brain's gonna rattle the same no matter what. Unless you have a mattress thickness of padding on your head, which will never happen. I mean, this probably comes the closest to that. It's still gonna get that brain rattling. You know what I'm saying? And that's what leads to a lot of boxers end up having Parkinson's and CTE and all the other brain issues later down the road. So the fact that they loaded this so much with padding, to me, is dangerous, with the fact that you're going to be eating a lot more punches because, one, it's heavier, so you're not going to be able to move your head as easy as you typically would, and you're prone to taking more shots with this. And it also has to go with the visibility, which is very poor in this. So let me go ahead and put this on. I already have this thing adjusted to the size of my head, And you can just see me putting this on, just how ridiculously huge this thing is. I mean, even when I have my gloves on, when you're sparring, I can't even, I mean, this is basically how far out my hands are from my chin. You have to keep that in mind, how far out your hands are. I mean, you're so used to when you have no headgear on and you're shadow boxing, you're so used to having your chins closer to your face. And if you're, you're sparring or whatnot, typically, a lot of guys will end up dropping their hands, or they start moving around in the ring. And you want to be able to have a good defense to move your head. So one thing is comfortable. I do love the liner on here. I feel like the foam is nice and soft. I also feel that the ear donuts are in a pretty good position to protect the side of your ears, but the padding is just way overkill. The other huge flaw is this opening right here. You can see that the visibility in this is to me is poor. When I'm looking straight ahead, this bar, the way it's curved, is really like directly in my eyesight. So when I was sparring with this, I felt that I was eating a lot more shots than I typically would, because it was hard for me to see the punches coming. And if I did see the punches coming, I was late to reacting to them, just because, if I was looking up or I was looking down, I couldn't see. Even when you're squatting, maybe you're trying to weave underneath a punch, your upward visibility is poor. So you almost have to lift your head up to look up, which leaves yourself open to get clipped. So the fact that the visibility is really bad, I'm just not a big fan of that at all. Also keep in mind is if your head is turned any direction, so maybe you're turning this way for whatever reason and your target's right over here, like the camera, I'm facing you, your visibility is severely restricted on this side as well as this side. So yes, you should be looking at your opponent at all times, but there's gonna be times where maybe you're slipping out, you're turning, and you're not gonna be able to see them for that split second. And some better, more open face headgears, you will be able to turn and see them right away to avoid getting clipped. With this, your visibility is just so restricted. And again, I feel like you're taking a lot of shots than you need to. Next is gonna be the chin strap. And just to show you, again, the design of this chin strap is pretty poor. The reason being is because of how thick this head guard is. So I'm gonna pull it as tight as I can and put the chin strap on. And you can see that it doesn't even touch my chin. So all it does is kind of just tighten the lower portion of this headgear, but I still can move it. I mean, there was one time I actually caught an uppercut and the headgear ended up like this. So, I mean, like, to me, what's the point of having a chin strap if it's not even underneath your chin? I mean, technically the location of it is underneath my chin, but it's not even touching. Why? Because of how thick the sides of this headgear is. I mean, look how wide this, I mean, I would have to have like a Spartacus chin for this to actually touch my chin, like a massive, chin, for this, a Johnny Bravo chin, basically, for this strap to touch it. So, and this is the correct dimensions. Before I order all of my headgear, I always make sure that the sizing is correct based on the circumference of my head. So the chin strap is lousy as well. Ears are good. Love the top laces, love the rear laces. I do love that it's cut out in the back for your neck, so you have that good mobility to look around. But again, man, this is just poorly designed, poorly executed. I'd say the only saving graces with this headgear would be the nice liner. The padding is comfortable on the inside, and I do love the lace-up closure. I love that more than I do Velcro closures for headgears. But everything else about this headgear is terrible in my opinion. And I've had some other RDX products which I was really happy with, but this is definitely not one of them. And again, I feel like I was taking a lot more shots than were necessary. It was harder for me to kind of like get into the groove in sparring just because my visibility is really restricted. Any kind of angled shot that you take that's gonna lift this bar up, because the chin strap's not even touching my chin. Maybe it'll be different for you, because maybe obviously your head shape's gonna be different from mine, but to me, it doesn't even touch. So overall, I think this thing is not a good product. I think they should redesign it and make it a lot more, just more form-fitting, a little bit more lightweight, thinner, just more streamlined, better visibility. Just come out with a better product. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. As usual, I'll put the link in the description box where you can get this RDX T2 face saver. Not that you would want to get it, but I still put the link down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.